now.
Loved ones stood vigil outside the home of the late cultural giant Joyce Auguste at Arundel Hill after receiving word of the death of the St. Lucian icon. Auguste, an avowed Catholic, was the choir mistress of Our Lady's Choir. Members grew weary after she had not been seen or heard from since Monday, May 18th, 2020.
Last night somebody had mentioned that they had not been able to reach her either, so we came over to check on the house, but everywhere was closed and her lights were on. She was still not responding to any calls, but we didn't want to break down the door to get her nervous if, maybe she's medicated and resting. So this morning we came back to check on her and realized that her lights were still on and the window she would normally have opened, it's still closed, and the atmosphere was different.
Her immediate family was the church, and the choir for whom the loss is indelibly seared in their hearts and minds.
Miss Auguste has played a major role in my life. I'm part of Our Lady's Choir, but even before that, through my involvement in the Junior Jewanorra Voices, she has molded me, she has mothered me. We have had a very close relationship ever since I was a little girl at Ave Maria School.
This is the person who really teaches us, how to sing certain songs, and being a member of her choir. Of course, it would be very touching to know that she was not lying down and to just know that is what we come into. So it's really touching. It's a really touching moment.
Joyce Auguste is a household name in music and cultural circles in St. Lucia. But in her formative years, she was a star athlete, an avid netball player whose innate talent would open doors to other career paths. Monsignor Dr. Patrick Anthony, another cultural luminary, remembers the seminal moments of her journey fondly.
She played netball and things like that, and she actually represented St. Lucia and the West Indies in netball. And in fact, she was part of the rest of the world team in netball that played in England. She went to England, studied music, and when she came back down to St. Lucia, she got into the Ministry of Education and became the first educational officer for music. And she began the music education in schools. And she had a daily program for the children in schools, and that is when I linked up with her and we started to do these programs on the radio station. And of course, Joyce's big achievement was her musical prowess with the Jewanorra Voices, and you have some of the members there. She had produced several albums of St. Lucian cultural music.
Joyce Auguste founded the folk music group Jewanorra Voices in the late 1960s. The collective, along with the Hellenites, emerged out of St. Lucia's participation in the Expo 69. The troup's outing at the concert event in Grenada under the directorship of Sir Derek Walcott and George Odlum, with a production entitled Soirée Sept-Lycée, was the defining moment in the island's history, sparking an awakening among the middle class of indigenous culture. It featured a star-studded lineup of other greats in the pantheon of St. Lucia folk music, such as the likes of Dame Mary Cescent Descott, a frequent collaborator of Auguste. The release of a long-play album from the legendary recording sessions are etched in St. Lucia law.
She did a lot of work with Cescent Descott. She recorded a lot of Cescent's work and produced disc on Cescent. So she is definitely one of our great cultural icons. I would say, indeed, a cultural hero, St. Lucia.
Great loss?
Extremely great loss, yes. And particularly today when our culture needs to be appreciated more.
Despite her well-known cultural and folk music exploits, Joyce Auguste is most remembered for her devotion to the Roman Catholic Church.
She was an organist at the cathedral for a long time. She had Our Lady's Choir, where she sang every Sunday on special occasions. And so she's a real committed Catholic who used her musical skills to enhance the liturgy at the cathedral and in the Catholic Church in general.
Tributes continue to pour in from around the world for the master vocalist, musician and maternal figure who made an immense contribution to country and helped shape the lives of generations of St. Lucians. Winston Springer Jr., HTS News Force.